Hey everybody, it's Dr. V. I'm going to do kind of a different reading for now. It's channeled messages. I just feel like there's some messages that want to come through from your higher self and from your counterpart's higher self. And so I'm going to go ahead and jump right in. Spirit, please use me as a clear channel for communication. May the messages that come through be in the highest good of all those concerned. I draw a sacred circle around this space, setting my ego to the outside, calling upon my council, guides, ancestors, higher wisdom, divine love, ascended masters, and archangels to be here and protect this space. So I wanted to say thank you to everybody who has liked, subscribed, commented, purchased private readings. If you want to know how to do that, the information to do so is in the description box below. And also those of you who have made energy exchange donations. I mean, seriously, that's such an awesome thing. I love it so much. Thank you. Those of you have been, some of you have been really, really generous with your donations, and I really appreciate that. But please don't feel like if you want to make an exchange donation and you feel like it's, you know, the suggested amount is $11.11. But seriously, if you want to do something, whatever feels aligned for you feels great. I was thinking about this last night and I was like, man, if every person that watched these videos donated $1, I would be like totally in financial bliss. So anywho, so don't feel like if you want to make a donation, don't feel like it's like if you feel like, oh, it's a piddling amount, that doesn't feel right. Totally don't feel that way, okay? So what I feel like I want to say first of all in this, what wants to come through in this message is, seriously guys, be really, really careful about the energy that you allow into your space, okay? I've gotten a number of messages from people lately that they've gotten readings from people, or they've listened to channels and they walk away feeling very down and very negative and feeling like the energy was just not positive. So this is where discernment as spiritual beings is really, really important. And I would like to encourage you to really do the work to understand the difference between being negatively triggered, because sometimes messages will trigger you, okay? It will rub against your wounds and it will make you feel, it'll raise questions for you. It's like, I do readings sometimes where people are like, well, what's the point of this if we're not ever going to come into union? That's being triggered. Okay, that is when someone is feeling triggered, because it's like, it's rubbing against their wound around wanting to have, you know, really being connected to wanting to come to union. That is different than somebody who is giving you false information or who is giving you negative information. There is a big difference. I've had readings before, honestly, where I have been like a few minutes in where I'm like, you know what, this energy feels off and I need to, like, I'm ending this reading. And then you have to like learn how to release that energy. That is kind of when you do that return to sender. You don't have to receive it, you don't have to accept it, but really learn to use your discernment. Learn to recognize when you're being triggered and when you are actually being given information that's false. So yeah, I just wanted to say that. But there were some messages that wanted to come through, and really what I want to look at is what is the purpose of the relationship right now? What is the purpose of the twin flame relationship? And so I'm going to ask that question. What does the divine masculine's higher self want to say to the divine feminine's higher self about what the purpose of the relationship is? Wow. The Fool, new beginning, the Seven of Bells, and the Founder. So the purpose of this relationship right now is from the divine masculine's higher self to the divine feminine's higher self is new beginnings. There's a new beginning that is wanting to come through. It's really important right now to allow that new beginning to happen, whatever that looks like for each of you. So the Seven of Bells card is about somebody who is, this is, if you remember in the traditional tarot, this is the guy that's like sneaking off with, he's got, I think, like 5 swords, and he's like running, and there's 2 in the ground. He's trying to steal. This is the energy of somebody who feels like maybe something, again, this came up earlier, something was stolen from them. So the energy of this is about, you know, the fool is, there's a difference between being foolish and being a sacred fool, okay? There's a difference between having that faith and the trust in the divine and going and taking that leap of faith when that's what you're being guided to do. And there's that kind of foolish fool. Then there's the kind of fool that continues to do the same things over and over again, who doesn't have healthy boundaries, who doesn't set sacred space for themselves, who doesn't understand that they don't have to participate with this kind of energy. So if you have a counterpart, the masculine is saying to the feminine, look, if I've been coming to you and like stealing your sauce, stealing your energy, and then leaving and leaving you, and you feel like betrayed, you feel like I stole something, I took something from you, that I took advantage of your kindness, it's fine for you to set a boundary and say no, because the founder, the Empress energy is not going to allow somebody, anybody to come in and just take from them. This founder is the Empress in the traditional tarot. The Empress is nurturing. The Empress has a lot of kindness and has a big heart and is willing to give, but an Empress is also very boundaried. You don't just get up to, you don't walk up to an Empress without some intention, without some, people have to be vetted. If you think about, like, if you were to go into Europe and go to the castle, you're not just gonna walk up to, the royalty there and not be vetted and not have some intention or some genuine business there. You're not just, I hope this is making sense. So what your divine masculine is saying to you, divine feminines, is that this any kind of taking advantage of energy, or not being 100%, not coming to the table with something to give, you have every right to set a boundary, and this is part of what you're supposed to be learning. The purpose of this right now is for you to know how to set your own space and set your own boundaries and rise up into your own divinity. And I'm not talking about that new age like kind of perspective around that people get into around like, oh, I'm a queen and whatever, because that can be limiting as well. What I'm talking about is that understanding of who you are, and that if you understand that you are truly a divine being having a human experience, you're not going to just let anybody come in and take advantage of you. You're going to recognize when someone's intentions aren't right, when their energy isn't right, and you're going to step aside and do what needs to be done. So divine masculines, what do your divine feminine's higher self want you to know about the purpose of this relationship for you? The Dreamer of Tomes in reverse. Wow. The Awakening in reverse. And the Seven of Vials. And this Dreamer of Tomes in reverse is someone who plans and plans and plans and plans and never does anything. This is a person who just will sit there and make a list and then make another list and then make another list. And it's like a person who, and I've actually seen people do this. They'll be like, I'm meal planning for the week. And they'll sit there and they'll like look up recipes, and they'll spend an hour looking up recipes and another hour like planning their menu. Another hour or two cutting coupons and all of these things. So they spend like their entire day planning for what they're planning to do, and then it's like by the time it's too late to go to the grocery store, they're too tired, they've spent too much time doing other things, and they end up going to Popeye's Chicken and buying fried chicken, biscuits, and rice, and they end up not eating healthy because they spent too much time planning. So what the feminines want the masculines to know is that you got to get out of planning mode. You've got to get out of thinking mode, thinking of what you're going to do, plotting your escape, how you're going to, looking at your budget and be like, okay, so if I were to move toward my feminine, I'd have to have money for this, I'd have to have this. And so I'm budgeting. And the feminine is saying, like, it's time to get out of your own way, because you're in this space of planning and making a list and doing this and doing that. And you're not going anywhere. You're literally like circling the same mountain or spinning your wheels because you're just not going anywhere. Because you keep planning. You keep planning your next step, and it's just a way for you to avoid actually having to do anything. The feminine is saying to the masculine, it's time to, as my mom used to say, and this is a totally tacky phrase, but it makes the point, it's time to shit or get off the pot, masculines. It's time to, if you've been planning, if you've been thinking about things a lot, it's time to actually start taking some steps, okay? No more just sitting there thinking about what you're going to do. It's time to start taking some action. This Awakening in reverse is about self-doubt, hesitation, not saying things correctly, and not being honest with yourself. That energy is time. It's time to go, okay? You're a divine freaking masculine is what the feminines want you to know. I see the king in you. I see the divine in you. I see your capability and your possibilities and what you're meant to do and who you're meant to be and how you're meant to be in this world. This self-doubt stuff, this insecurity, this lower level energy has got to go. It has got to go because it's not serving you. It's not serving me. It's not serving this connection. It's time for it to heal that, to start looking at things accurately, to recognize the truth of a situation, to stop looking at things through a warped glass and thinking you're seeing accurately. It's time to really open up your minds and allow yourself to awaken, to see things accurately, to be in that, to be the divine that you're meant to be. The Seven of Vials is somebody who has a lot of choices. This is like the Seven of Cups in the traditional tarot, a lot of choices. It's interesting because in the, like, business psychology, one of the things that we talk about a lot is that restaurants have a lot of options, like Cheesecake Factory, for instance, has a ton of options. People usually end up choosing the simplest thing because they get overwhelmed with options. Restaurants like Chipotle do really well because the options are limited. It's like you get a salad, a bowl, a burrito, or tacos. That's it. Those are your options. And limited options actually help people make decisions easier. Right now, masculines, what the feminines want you to know is that it is time for you to make a decision. You're either going to go the way that you've always gone and you're going to repeat this karmic cycle, which you've been in a space of, you've been playing out these karmic cycles for a long time now, masculines. Your feminines want you to know that, yes, this has been a karmic cycle. It's been something that you've been playing out for a while. It's been something that you've been doing for a while. Time to let that shit go. Make a decision. You're either going to continue and circle back to being the same way you've always been, or you're going to make a different decision and you're going to move toward a new path, a new way of being. But it's decision. You've been sitting here looking at the menu for long enough. It's time for you to decide what it is that you want. You either want to step up and be the masculine that you're meant to be, and make a decision and start choosing your life for yourself, taking back your power, or you're going to continue being stuck. Which is it going to be? So what is it that the masculine wants the feminine to know that she needs to let go of to move forward? So masculine message to the feminine about what she needs to let go of. Explorer of Tomes, the Four of Candles in reverse, and the Two of Bells in reverse. So what this is to me, this is this is a very slow moving, methodical energy. This is the energy of really just being in a space of slow, deliberate, intentional steps forward. That's that energy. This is someone who is very intentional, deliberate. It's not somebody who just like goes balls to the wall. It's not the fast moving energy, and it feels like that's what the feminine is wanting. She wants that fast. She wants it to be like that fast and furious kind of energy, and the masculine is saying you got to let that go. This isn't going to be a fast thing. It's like this isn't going to come to pass overnight. This is something that's going to take intention. It's going to take deliberation. It's going to take work. You're going to have to be able to put in the work in order to manifest what it is that you want. That's just what it is. I've mentioned this book before, Uncommon Bonds by Jeff Brown. But in this particular situation, it was years. I have not known any twin flame connections that came together and did... and had a really fast connection, unless they were much older, okay? Unless they've been somebody who's been on a path for a really long time and has done a shit ton of work, and then they came together with their divine counterpart and things were easy-ish. There were always challenges, of course, but other than that, every other twin flame that I've ever known has experienced a lot of challenges and a lot of growth. So the masculine is saying to you, feminines, you gotta let go of this idea that it's gonna happen quickly and easily, that it's gonna be like that you're gonna manifest and it's just gonna happen without you doing your work. You gotta let that idea go. This energy is the Four of Candles. It's like literally this is the Four of Wands in the traditional tarot. This is a twin flame signifier. And in reverse, it's saying really celebrate the small things. It feels like you're holding this energy like, I'll be happy when we're in union. I will be happy when this happens. I will be happy when this big, huge manifestation happens. And so you're like holding off and delaying your celebration until you get that big, huge outcome. And this is saying it's time to learn how to celebrate the little things. Your masculine wants you to know, celebrate the little things. Celebrate when you have an awareness and you make a different choice than what you've made in the past. Celebrate the little things. This is literally your masculine is saying to you, like, if you're holding off on being happy until we're in union, you're going to be unhappy for a long time. You've got to learn how to create your own happiness and be in that space right now, because that's important for this connection. Then we've got the Two of Bells in reverse, and this is saying, like, a decision has, you've made a decision. Your masculine wants you to know that you've been in a space of not making a decision, of being stuck. Okay, it's saying you have to deal with whatever choices, the consequences of whatever choice you've made in the past. So if you chose to wait for your masculine, if you're like, I'm going to wait because I feel like this is going to happen, and then they didn't come around, and then now you're feeling resentful because you're like, well, I waited for them, I put my life on hold. And they're saying, like, well, that was your choice. That was the decision that you made. You have to deal with the consequences of the choices that you made. Maybe they did ask you to stay around and wait. Maybe they didn't. Either way, you had a choice. And your masculine is saying, like, in order for this situation to move forward, you have to take responsibility for the choices that you've made and deal with the consequences. And then that will allow you to move forward. So what is it that the feminines want the masculines to know that they have to let go of in order to move forward? So we've got the Two of Candles in reverse, the Creator of Candles in reverse, and the Numinous in reverse. Very interesting. Okay, so the Two of Candles in the upright is Two of Wands. It's collaboration. It's energy going forward. It's someone who has this, has a vision, has a passion, and they're ready to move forward and ready to take steps. In reverse, it's saying someone who's it's indecision, it's delays. This is, again, going back to this card, or these cards up here. Time to make a decision. Again, shit or get off the pot. In order to move forward, the masculines have to make a decision. The masculines have to choose a path. This life is a choose your own adventure. Right now, the masculines are sitting there, like, not sure if they should turn towards page 16 or 32, and they're needing to figure it out and make a choice. In order to move things forward in life, you have to make a choice. There is no way to know where the choice that you make will lead you, and that's the uncertainty. That's the those are the chances we take. Them's the breaks, kids. And so it's really important to say that for the masculines to let go of the need to feel like they have everything under control to move forward. It's not possible. It's not going to happen. You've got to just make a decision and let the chips fall where they may. So then we've got the Creator of Candles. This is a person who feels overwhelmed. Okay, this is just somebody who is like, this is somebody who is very, very sensitive to criticism, and who experiences, like, if they're the kind of person that will, like, say, this is the energy of somebody who will say or do something that is kind of negative or whatever, and then when somebody corrects them and says, hey, that was, like, not a nice thing to say, then they're like, they shut down, they don't hear it, they can't hear it. It's like their ego gets wounded. And so they're like, if you want, you have to let that go, masculines. If you're in a space where somebody gives you feedback and you immediately shut down because you just feel like you can't handle it, you can't handle the truth, that kind of energy, you instantly project, or you put it on somebody else. You're like, that wasn't fair, or they're being a bully or whatever. It's time to let that go. It's keeping you stuck. It's keeping you stuck. You got to move forward and release that energy, because it's like 90% of the time, well, either way, even if it's valid feedback, even if it's positive, even if it's hard feedback, but it's necessary, it's like, look at the gift in it. Be able to sit with that wounding. I worked in, this was when I was much, much younger. I was in my early 20s, and I worked in a mega church. And I got summoned to the senior pastor's office one day. And I was in my 20s. I was young. I think I had just started my master's program. And I go in and I'm like, anytime you get called to the senior pastor's office, it's like, you're wondering what's wrong. So I go and I'm pretty anxious. And he's like, he sits me down and he says, and I've probably told this story before, so bear with me if you haven't. He sits me down and he's like, you've got so much potential. You're really gifted. You're really talented. You've got a lot of things to bring to a lot of gifts, but you're arrogant and you're unteachable. you kind of, that there was this kind of energy of like, you got to get more, like, be like Kendrick Lamar, sit down, be humble. Literally, that was what the message that he was saying to me was like, you have a lot to give, you have a lot of gifts, you've got a lot of talents, but you got to get, there's a sense of humility that you lack, and that's going to hinder your progress. I'll tell you what, that was hard to hear. I am not much, I'm like, I cry, I'm a softie, but like, I don't usually tend to cry in front of people. And I was sitting there in his office, and I was like, tears were streaming down my face, and he was like, I didn't mean to hurt your feelings. I was like, no, you're not hurting my feelings. You're telling me the truth about myself, and it stings, but it's something that I needed to hear. And I remember going back down to my office. I worked in the counseling center, and like getting on my knees, and I was like, whatever it takes, God, divine, make me like you. Like, I don't want to be this person that is, can't hear feedback because it hurts my feelings. So I say all that to say, you got to get humble. Okay, you've got to be able to hear feedback. You've got to be able to not shut down in the face of criticism. If you are in that energy, it's saying like, look, it's let yourself hear that criticism. However, be mindful that you're not in a community or surrounded by people that are just critical and they say things and they beat you down. If that's the case too, it's time to get out of that. That's not healthy either. So we've got the numinous in reverse, and this card is literally about mysteriousness, things not being clear, but it's also about somebody who doesn't believe in magic. It's also, there could be two meanings to this, okay? The first one is that masculines, if you've been subject to any dark energy, if you've ever felt like somebody's like put a spell on you or somebody has bound you, people can say, casting spells doesn't have to necessarily be at, you like a person like doing a whole like witchy ritual or a voodoo or ritual or anything like that. It can literally be somebody saying something to you, speaking something over you that creates like a negative spell over your life. And I mean spell like power, as a kid, if you have somebody that says something like, you're ugly and you're stupid and you're never going to amount to anything, then that can create like a quote unquote spell. It can create bondage in your life. If that's the case, you got to rid yourself of that. Clear your energies, smudge yourself, do salt baths, whatever it is, cancel those beliefs, okay? If there have been spells and things that have been spoken over your life that have limited you, that has caused you harm, it's time to let that shit go. Cancel it, return to sender. Whatever it is that you need to do to free yourself from that, do it. The other thing is that you've got to start believing in magic again. Something happened in your life that took your magic away from you. Like you didn't believe that magic was available. And so you doubt. And because of that doubt, you doubt this connection. Even though you feel it, even though you feel the connection, even though you feel like the power of this beautiful twin flame connection, you're doubting it because you're like, I don't know, man, this just seems too weird to me. I don't believe in that kind of stuff. Open yourself up, masculine, to believe the magic. Believe that that the possibilities of magical existence are real. You'd be amazed. So I'm going to move this aside, and I'm going to wrap up with a final message. What is it, Spirit, that the divine masculine wants the divine feminine to know? What is it that the divine masculine, what message does the divine masculine want to give to the divine feminine? Oh, and the deck I was just using is the Numinous Tarot by Noel Hampel, and this is the Oracle of the Mermaids by Lucy Cavendish. So what is the masculine, what message does the divine masculine's higher self want to say to the divine feminine? Water flight. Heaviness lifts, burdens are cast away, and weightlessness. So what this is saying to me is like, look, it's time to release the burden, okay? It's time to let things go. Whatever has been holding you back, even if it's this connection, even if this connection has been holding you back from feeling happiness, from feeling abundance, from feeling joy, if this connection has felt like a burden, it's time to let it go. Whatever it is that has been feeling like a burden, that's been holding you down, that hasn't allowed you to flow and swim freely, it's time to let it go. That's what needs to happen at this point. Whatever it is, and you'll know because it's going to resonate for you. Whatever thought came up for you when I said burden, heaviness lifts, let it go. It's time to cast away those burdens. Whatever it was that came to mind for you, you know. And your masculine is saying, whatever it is, it's time to let it go. Time to let that heaviness lift. Time to come back to the surface, okay? Let yourself be free. So what is it that the divine feminines, what message does the divine feminine have for the divine masculine? What final message, Spirit? Holy cow. This is literally, you guys, these messages are echoing each other. Look at that. Soul cage, rescue, escape from captivity and restriction. The message that the divine has, that your divine feminine has to you, divine masculine, is set yourself free. That there is someone coming to your rescue. Let yourself be saved, okay? It's like, I'm thinking of this quote by Harriet Tubman. She's like, talking about all the people that were freed from slavery, and she said we could have freed thousands more if only they had known they weren't free. This is like, masculine, you need to let somebody help you come to your rescue. You got to recognize that maybe this situation is something that's been going on for too long. Let yourself be rescued. Escape from captivity, from restriction, whatever it is that's been holding you back, whatever it is that has been holding you down. You guys, literally, these messages are echoing each other. Whatever is burdening, whatever has kept you trapped, whatever has kept you, being able to fly freely, it's time to release that and let it go. It's time to get out of this soul cage. It is time. This is such a beautiful message. And one final message from the universe for this connection. Fertility, potential, powerful, creative energy, and initiation energy. I get really clearly that once this energy is released, once the burdens are cast aside, the heaviness is released, people get out of their soul cages. When people take this counsel and move in wise spaces, in wise directions, following what Spirit is trying to say to you, I feel like this fertility is going to happen. This potential, powerful, creative energy, this initiation is going to begin. So it feels like right now the messages that want to come through is about the end of a cycle and the beginning of a new cycle. This is the time for something to end. This is a time for things to be let go of so that something new can come through. So once you go through this, whatever burdens, whatever heaviness you have to release, whatever captivity, masculines you need to get free from, once that happens, once you really do the work and set yourselves free, that this fertility, this new initiation, this new phase is going to begin. So the sooner that you do your work, the sooner that this will happen. Divine timing is about doing your work, doing what Spirit has told you to do so that you can participate in the manifestation of your own blessings. So I hope that this reading was helpful. Please let me know if you have any questions, and I'll talk with you all soon. Take care. Bye.